Hi, I'm James Dunn. Welcome to the Inside Network. Welcome to INDepth, where my guest is Anthony Kapetanovic, Executive Chairman of Akambo Financial Group. We're going to talk about the challenges and the value of scalability in the post-Royal Commission investment world. Welcome, Anthony.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you. Anthony, you started as a private wealth advisory group, Akambo, but you've added so many different strings to that original bow. What does the business look like today, and what's driven that process of evolution?
Yeah, sure. Look, we're certainly a much larger business today, and most of our growth and the driver of our growth has been organic. We started with a very simple philosophy of servicing a client, delivering a tailored solution to a client, and essentially, wash, rinse, repeat thereafter. And that worked for us for quite a long period of time, but organic growth gets more challenging as you do tend to grow. So, we've got 120 staff now. We started with two 15 years ago, and more recently we've been involved in a merger and created that inorganic growth for our firm. But it goes back to that initial philosophy, service your clients well, find new clients, and continue to do the same.
Can you take us through your background in financial services, when you started, and take us through how the industry has evolved over the years that you've been in it?
Yeah, sure. So look, I started in the mid to late 90s. I was educated through a banking environment, which at the time I thought was quite a great introduction to financial advice. I think recent history would suggest that perhaps that was the grooming of a not so great time. But I transitioned into various roles, looked for ways to improve the delivery of financial advice, and ended up at a large broking house, investment bank, and then subsequently started Akambo once I felt that we'd done the apprenticeship that we needed to. But in essence, the educational process was quite strong. But I think a lot of the lessons that we learnt from the past have now been put to rest, and we can move forward in a much better way.
Well, it's halfway through 2022 and so much has washed out of the financial services industry in recent years. What excites you most about the industry looking forward from here?
Yeah, look, I mean, the word disintegration's been used. I've used it a few times in terms of what's happened to our industry, and that was hard to watch, and it probably had to happen, to be brutally honest. But looking forward now, you've got a lot of groups, non-aligned, some vertically integrated, but generally speaking, very, very much focused on the client experience. So, I'm really excited about what comes ahead. We've got a lot of young people that are now starting their careers out in financial services in a different way to perhaps I did. And they're just doing things better. Everything they do is better. The client experience seems to be absolutely central to the way everything's done. And that's the way it should have been, but it looks like we needed to go through a process of reform and resurgence to be able to be excited about who we are as a profession. Clearly, education requirements will create an environment where people are far more professional, and rightly so.
In your view, what are the biggest challenges facing financial advisors and accountants in the modern economy and business world?
Yeah, look, there's no shortage of challenges, that's for sure. I think there's still a vacuum from all of the reform, Royal Commission, etc. I think the consumers begin resetting and looking for advice in the right way, but I think the cost of the reform, the cost of regulation, and just the inelasticity of price with clients. I mean, clients can't and won't absorb price increase at this point, where it's quite well documented that everything else is going up in price. So we've got this challenge of being able to provide affordable advice in an environment where everything is becoming far dearer, and it's no different in our world, hence the need for scale, in our opinion, and what we did.
Just on the topic of scale, despite significant improvements in recent years, the advice industry still remains or is perceived to be somewhat cottage. How's Akambo positioned for this push towards scale and professionalism and a more institutional approach?
Yeah, look, we there was a line in the sand moment at a point for us, and we decided that we wanted to lead and be part of the transformation in the industry, and a lot of people have found it challenging and perhaps exited. So we looked for scale through a merger. We found a partner to merge with, which has been unbelievable. It was a great experience for us. You know, touch wood, it continues to be really positive. But you know, the reality is that I think we need some scale to attract and retain the best talent. Everyone's fighting for talent in every industry, but and probably no more so than in the wealth management space. You know, that client experience piece, trying to get that right with the consumer changing all the time, and their experiences external to the wealth management industry are always getting better. We've got to keep up with that. So look, that's a commitment we've made as a business. We'll continue to invest in that, and that can be challenging. It's expensive stuff.
In that area of inorganic growth, the industry was obviously hit with the Royal Commission and the education requirements and then the pandemic. Do you see a resurgence in M&A in coming years?
I wouldn't say resurgence. I think it's been very active in recent years as well. But I think you know, chasing that you know, inorganic growth through either acquisition or merger and getting scale, I think we're just going to be driven there if we want to deliver again an environment where staff can, you know, or you can attract staff and they can develop well and they can have a career path. Talking about professionalism. And also, again, being able to, at a price, deliver a fantastic client experience. So I'm seeing it all the time. We certainly have a strategy to continue to grow through inorganic means. But yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily a resurgence. I think it's very active and playing out in front of us, which is really exciting, I think. Yeah.
Together with your partners, you've built one of the largest non-aligned practices in the country. Can you expand on your approach to leadership and the growth in your role as you've stepped up to Executive Chairman?
Yeah, look, this is probably a natural thing for me. Others have told me and I've felt it. I suppose I've got this, it's a personal journey for me, both with my partners and our staff. I just take a lot of pleasure out of seeing everyone grow and come along for the ride. So I think that, I mean, the evolution has just been something that I've been able to learn a lot more as I've gone along and just grow as well. But being such a personal journey, it's very rewarding to see, you know, your partners benefit, their lives improve, and staff just grow into, you know, whatever trajectory that suits them. But yeah, again, being that personal sort of journey for me, it makes it quite rewarding. Yeah.
And on the investment side, Anthony, can you expand on your approach to portfolio construction and, more importantly, execution?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, our mantra is very much about a tailored and transparent process that suits the client. So there's a whole lot of challenges in our industry around how investments are provided to clients, what platforms end users look like. But you know, fundamentally, that's our approach. It's transparent and it's tailored and it meets the client's needs as they need it, not as everybody else needs it or the industry needs it, the client needs it. So that's our approach to, you know, our investment philosophy. We use a lot of direct assets for that transparency piece, but the tailoring and the support of various administrative support services really suit the client. And it comes back to that client experience. In terms of execution, I mean, we've got a lot of partners and support in the industry around how we allocate assets, how we execute investments and the like. So.
Mergers are never easy, so take us through your perspective of how important culture has been, both in terms of growing Akambo from scratch, but also choosing the groups with which you have partnered.
Yeah, look, again, culture is a word that's bandied around a lot, but I mean, it's fundamental to these processes. I mean, we'd like to think that culture is something that we you know, create. Again, going back to that leadership, personal journey and development, you know, we have amazing relationships with our staff. Now, does that mean that every staff member we've ever had has always been happy? Well, no. I mean, you know, we're not necessarily been on the same trajectory, but the culture is fundamental to getting the best out of your people and for people to develop and be happy. So if your culture is not quite what it needs to be, I just think you're going to struggle to perform. In terms of the merger piece, I mean, I'd hate to say it, but I think to some degree we found a unicorn in First Financial when we merged with them. Yeah, there's a number of principles in that business and they're all just amazing to deal with. We spent a lot of our time not talking about balance sheets and valuations. It was just about the human element of the people. And they've been brilliant, and brilliant over a sustained period of time. Like, we've all waited for some cracks to appear, and well, quite frankly, they just haven't. And again, we pride ourselves on that. Does everyone love us? Are they always going to love us? Yeah, no, that's just not how relationships work. But we do pride ourselves on the cultural piece that we've now also brought together. Yeah.
This has been INDepth. Thank you very much, Anthony Kapetanovic, Akambo Financial Group.
Thank you.